Hello, my government students. Happy Monday, good morning or afternoon, depending on when you get up. I hope you guys all got outside and actually did something this weekend. Try to get up off the couch every once in a while. I know it's hard when you have this much break. I know you're probably sleeping until like 2, but try to get outside, get some exercise, and have a great one. But today we are going to talk a little bit about the Arizona Supreme Court. So now that we've learned about all the judges or the courts for Arizona and which state courts we all have, we're going to talk just a little bit about the Arizona Supreme Court. So we have the Supreme Court and then we have the Arizona Supreme Court. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about it so maybe you can understand a little bit more and we can move away from the judiciary branch and on to the next portion of government this week. So this should be the last portion of the judicial branch, and then we'll be moving on. All right, so this is just going to be some slides. Not going to be super exciting, but I just wanted to explain this to you guys, so bear with me for just a few minutes. So the Supreme Court, under Article 6 of the Arizona Constitution, makes it so that we can have a Supreme Court or a court that's going to be our last resort court. So we call it the Supreme Court, but they call it the last resort. I don't know what that means, but it's the last resort up until there is no more resort. But to be honest, they could go to the federal level, so last resort's an interesting call. So the Supreme Court has the ability to take the cases that they want to take, but the only cases that they have to take are ones that are going to go to the death penalty. So those courts cases are automatically reviewed by the Arizona Supreme Court. So they can review the findings of lower courts if they want to. They would have to choose to do that, but the death cases automatically get put to them. So there are 7 total justices, and they serve for a time of 6 years. There is one Chief Justice. He's appointed every 5 years, and he is appointed by the others selecting him as Chief Justice. So pretty interesting that they get swapped out pretty often. So definitely not a life term like the other Supreme Court. So every 6 years they have to try to get reelected to actually be part of the Supreme Court here in Arizona. So they, like I said before, can choose a case if they want to review it. What would happen is they would have someone who appeals a case that happened in a lower court, and that appeals could go to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court could choose to do that. Again, only death sentences can be automatically reviewed by the Supreme Court in Arizona. So they also have the job of regulating the bar or the law system for lawyers in Arizona. And they review charges against attorneys. So they can disbar them or make them to stop practicing law if they need to. So they are overseers of all the lawyers also here in Arizona. They also are the final decision makers when it comes to discipline against the courts. So when the courts need to be revisited or disciplined because something went wrong, they are the ultimate decision maker on what happens to those courts. So the question today is, they are a court and they are deciding the discipline for the courts. Is that a conflict of interest? So I want you to answer that in the Google form today. So there's going to be a Google form right after this. It should have been with this in the Google post. So go ahead and answer that when you get a chance. A few more things before I let you guys get out of here for the day. So there's a clerk that is part of the Supreme Court, and it actually, the clerk runs the office portion, and they have assistants that go along with those. That is appointed by the Supreme Court, so that all of the scheduling, all of the press releases, everything goes through the clerk of the Supreme Court. So how would you get this job is the last thing I want to show you. And here are the requirements for that job. So you have to be admitted into the practice of law. So that means you have to have passed the state bar. You've had to have lived in Arizona for 10 years at least. You can't have any public or political office outside of being a justice. You can't hold any office of any political party, and you cannot campaign for other people. You can only campaign for yourself for re-election every 6 years. The last thing is they don't want people being too old or set in their ways, so they actually make them retire at the age of 70, which is a really interesting concept too. So those are the qualifications to be a Arizona Supreme Court justice. And I hope you guys got something out of this today. We will start a new section tomorrow, so be looking for that. And go ahead and fill out the Google form for me. I hope you all have a great day and have a great Monday. And again, try to get outside, get some sun. It's that orb in the sky. Pretty sweet. Have a great one.